Please, we will begin the presentation in a few minutes. Can everybody hear me? Can you just type yes in the chat box? Thank you. Shravani will be joining us in just a minute or so. Kindly bear with us.
Okay, thank you all for waiting, and thank you, Aparna, for the introduction. My name is Shravani, and I'm the Education USA advisor at the United States India Education Foundation at Hyderabad. And in Hyderabad, we're co-located within the US consulate. Before I start, I definitely like to talk a little bit about Education USA. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about choosing among your admits. So a little bit about Education USA. I don't know how many of you, if this is your first webinar, then welcome for the first time, and hope you're able to get some insightful information about different elements of the application process. Education USA is a US State Department run program, so we're supported by the US Department of State. We aim to provide accurate, comprehensive, and current information about higher education in the US at any level, and we aim to provide unbiased information. We have hundreds of centers in over 170 countries, and at this point, I think we have 450 centers in over 170 countries all over the world. So in case any of you plan to travel elsewhere and you still decide to go and pursue your higher education from there, you can go ahead and reach out to an Education USA center in whichever country you are. Some countries like India and other countries as well, we have multiple centers in every country. In India, we have 5 comprehensive centers and 2 satellite centers. So please do make use of Education USA services. Most of them are free. You can just walk in and ask for any kind of assistance that you require. And in case any of you have any questions about the presentation I'm going to make today, please do write them in the chat box, and we will address all questions once we're done with the presentation. So sit back and listen, all of you. I hope you really enjoy the presentation. And if any of you have already got admits from US universities, the first step would be to congratulate all of you. A big congratulations. We know it's quite a challenging process to get your application together and get success in the application. So if you have been admitted to a US university, congratulations. Although I'm assuming a lot of you at this point have applied and you really haven't heard from too many of them, they will slowly start trickling in. It does take time. Some of the universities will start getting back to you right now, some earlier, some later in early March, some as late as April. But don't get too worried, because you're definitely going to hear back from them, provided you had a good mix of universities in your application list, the ones that you finally applied to. So in case you have heard from universities, don't just jump to conclusions and pick the first one that you've got an admit from. I highly recommend waiting for all your admits to trickle in before you can make your final decision on whether you're going to attend that university or not. So moving on, we started off with a case study, and this is a good way to figure out. I'm sure all of you will be in the same boat very soon, and it's just a fun way to kind of, go about the situation of how am I going to choose between all my admits. So I'm assuming all of you can see the case study on the screens in front of you, and I'm just going to read that out really quickly. So this is like in the voice of a student, one of our students. It's not anything specific, but just an example. I've gotten another admit from UIC for a Master of Science in Business Analytics program. My previous admit being the Master of Science in Business Analytics degree program at SMU, the Cox School of Business. So I need your help in choosing which university is better. I've made a small comparison of factors which I should consider while choosing the universities. So some of the common questions that students have is there any factor that I've actually missed out? I'm currently speaking to students who are enrolled in the course and at these respective universities to gain more insights about the program. And please let me know which university is better in terms of ranking and placement. So before we move on, we'll actually review some of these questions that this hypothetical student that we have has asked. I need your help in choosing which university is better. So this student has got admits from 2 universities. Like I mentioned before, wait until you get admits from all the universities, not even admits necessarily, but a response from all the universities that you have applied to. If you've applied to like a couple of ambitious options and maybe one was too ambitious and you already have a reject from them, it's fine. At least you know, and you know it was your ambitious option and you know you didn't get in, but you have closure on that and you know that that's not one of your options to consider. But do not make any hasty decisions and decide and commit until you have all your admits in hand. Moving on to the next point we have here, I've made a small comparison of factors, and we're going into detail as we go deeper into the presentation to analyze that part of the question. Is there any factor that I've missed out? I will address that again. I'm currently speaking to students who are enrolled in the course. So this is something that I want to point out is a very, very useful insight. We have so many forums these days. I mean, all of you, I'm sure, are very tech savvy, and we have social media. You have a lot of websites. There's College Confidential. There's Stupid Sid. Those are just some of them that I'm giving you examples about, but there are even specific Facebook pages of different communities like the Indian Student Association on different university campuses, and they have closed groups or even sometimes open groups, and you can reach out to them because current students studying in those particular universities will give you very nuanced information about what it is to be enrolled as a student on that particular university campus. So I highly recommend reaching out to students who are already studying on that US university campus, and they will be able to tell you information that a lot of, maybe as an advisor, that I wouldn't be able to tell you, or the school itself wouldn't be able to tell you, like the admissions officer or someone like that who's really trying to get you to that school. They want you to be there, but if you're speaking to a student, they're going to give you the pros and the cons and everything about being on that particular US university campus. And finally, moving on to the next point, please let me know which university is better in terms of ranking and placement. I would say rankings are important. I mean, they do reflect well on your resume in future. However, I would say that it's not the only thing that you should base your decision on. Yes, ranks are important, but there are a lot of other factors that you should definitely consider and not just focus on the rank all the time. It's very, very important to ensure that the university that you're going to is the best fit for you in terms of every other factor and not just the rank. So I really like to give this example all the time because this was one of a student that I advised, and she was like a straight A student and got into like a very, very competitive university, one of these Ivy League universities. And the first thing that when she was done with her first semester there and she came back, and Education USA reached out to her to do for us an alumni session and to come and talk to current students about what it is like to be on a US university campus. When I was having a chat with her, she told me that yes, this university is very prestigious and it's very highly ranked, but it was a big shock for her because everyone else was almost as smart as her, or maybe even much smarter than her in her class. And that was the first time she ever got a B grade in her life. So she was not really used to seeing, to being second in class or getting B grades, and that came as a big shock to her, and she really had a hard time coping up with that. So for all those, very highly ranked places, it is very competitive. Getting an admit is one thing, but being able to flourish in an environment and on a US university campus involves a lot of other factors. And it's very important that you're comfortable in that academic environment and not just go by the reputation of the university or the rank of the university every time. So yes, ranks are important, but do definitely ensure that you've done your research enough and you know that that university is the best fit for you. And it's only you who can make that decision, because everyone else may know you superficially but not well enough to figure out whether you're going to flourish in that environment or not. So moving on, here are some of the parameters. We've put them in a table form, and the student has done a comparative analysis of both the schools. So you can see you have the first the first column is about the parameters. The second one is for the University of Illinois at Chicago, and the second one is for the Southern Methodist University. In the rows, we have the first one is the location. University of Illinois in Chicago being in Chicago, the student has said it's the third largest city in America, and whereas Southern Methodist University is in Dallas, which is the fourth largest employment center in the nation. So with Chicago being a big city and Dallas being the fourth largest employment center, if your priority was being in a large metropolitan environment, Chicago would definitely be a great option, because you're going to really flourish in, you're going to like it because it's a big city and that's the kind of environment and the culture that you're looking for. On the other hand, if what you're looking for is primarily internships or getting placed as soon as you get as soon as you're done with your degree, or OPT and CPT opportunities, then if Dallas being the fourth largest employment center in the nation may be a better option for you. So before you go, or before you even make your decision about your admits, I think it's very, very important that you do your research and really look into the finer details of things and different factors. The other thing in terms of a location could also be the weather. Chicago being a wonderful city, and it's one of my favorite cities in the US. However, it has very, very cold weather, and it's one of the windiest cities in the US. So if you do have like maybe a pre-existing health condition like sinusitis, or you just don't do well in cold weather, for instance, then Chicago may not be the best option for you, because you're going there to study, you're going there to spend maybe 2 or more years of your life, or sometimes even less. However, when you're spending a substantial amount of time in a certain place, you want to be in an environment that's conducive for you. If you don't do well in cold weather, I wouldn't recommend going to a place that is very, very cold. You just don't want to keep getting sick all the time and not be able to attend classes. And, at the end of the day, the everything, I mean, all the factors and everything about the city really has to be conducive for you to be able to flourish and do well on campus. So Dallas, on the other hand, has pretty decent weather. It's very similar to the weather in India. So that is something that I would tell my students to consider also. Take a look at the map and just figure out which place the map of the US, and figure out which state this particular university is in, what are the neighboring states, what are the weather conditions like. And then of course you're going to look at other factors like industries. Chicago in this case is like an international hub for finance, commerce, industry, technology, telecommunications, and it's a major world financial center, and it's the second largest central business district in the US. So in terms of getting placed after um, your master's, the chances are that you will get a job much easier because you would have done internships, because internships were easily available during your master's degree itself. Chicago being a big city, there were a lot of industries, there was a lot of companies that were looking to have interns, a summer intern with them, and that really reflected well on your resume. On the other hand, Dallas is the city's well, Dallas as a city, the economy is primarily based on banking, commerce, telecom, computer, again, pretty similar. And then there's healthcare and medical research, which is a bit missing in terms of what Chicago has to offer, and then transportation and logistics. So in terms of industry connect, I would say in this case, both the cities are pretty decent. But sometimes from among your admits, you may have admits that are very different. Like, well, say for instance, you were picking automotive engineering, right? And all of you probably have heard that Michigan and the Detroit area is like the hub for auto in the US. And you got an admit from Michigan State University, and the other admits that you have are from very good schools, other really good schools like UCLA, for instance, or the University of California in Santa Barbara for the same program. But given the fact that for automotive engineering, Michigan and the Detroit area is really, really good in terms of industry, I would definitely consider picking Michigan State University. So it's a good idea to take a look at what your long-term goals and your long-term interests are, and deciding about this industry connect is very important, because eventually everyone wants to get a good job and get placed in their dream jobs. So the next factor that you're definitely going to consider is tuition and fee. It's a big, big, big factor. At the end of the day, every university in the US has a different cost scale. They cost very different things. The range is some universities can cost as low as 15 to $20,000 a year for $15 to $20,000 a year, while others can go up to $60,000 to $70,000 a year. So it's up to you to decide which university is affordable for you, and it's important that you take all factors into consideration. You look into the tuition, which means the fees essentially that the university is charging you. Apart from that, you're also going to look at the cost of living in that particular city. Like the tuition, even the cost of living is not consistent across all cities in the US. Just like in India, there's some cities that are much more expensive, and there's some cities that are relatively cheaper. So do keep this factor in mind when you are choosing among your admits. And if cost is something that's a big deal and an important factor to you, then you're definitely going to look at this as one of your major factors. Then again, you have the duration of the course. This course in one university is for 1 year full-time or 18 months part-time, while in the other universities for 1 year. In many universities, you end up paying per credit to be able to graduate. So in one of these universities, it's 32. In the University of Illinois, it's for 32 credits. And in the Southern Methodist University, it's for 33 credits. So you're going to have to pay for that one extra credit. And if that's something that's, if finances are a priority and you're really looking to bring the cost of your course down significantly, then you're also going to look at how much you're going to pay per credit and if it's value for money. Moving on, here are some of the points to consider when choosing between your schools. Of course, the course that you're going to study. At the end of the day, you're going to the US to study, so this is going to be the major thing that you're going to consider. The quality of the program, and then you decide, is it, at this point, it's where you're going to think about ranking, but it shouldn't essentially be the only criteria that you're going to use. So think about if it's a very well-respected university, if it's a decent university, or if it's okay, and if it's and you thought about this already when you were applying for the program itself. So you already know whether this was one of your ambitious options, or whether this admit was one of your moderate options, or was it your safe option. So based on that, you've already done some research on this particular area of the quality of the program. And then of course you're going to look at the choice of your course. So say for instance you applied for computer science in this university, but they're willing to give you computer engineering in that university, and it's the higher ranked university, so you're really considering it. But in the other university, there's still, which is not as highly ranked as this first university that we're talking about, and they're offering you computer science itself, and the syllabus that they're offering you, and the areas and the electives that you're being able to choose from are exactly what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, then it really makes sense to go with that, the second university that's offering you computer science, and not just go with the higher ranked university and compromise on your passion and your core area, your core subject that you're truly interested in. And then of course you're going to look at the course curriculum. Are there specific courses that you want to take? Are they available when you want to take them? Because in US universities, there's some courses that are not offered every semester. So if your course, for instance, is a 1-year course, the whole program just lasts for 1 year, and this course that you're looking for is not even offered that year, so I wouldn't consider that university, because you're not exactly getting what you want out of that program. And of course you're going to look at the flexibility of the course. Is the degree plan rigid, or is it pretty flexible? Can you take classes offered by other departments? If you're doing industrial engineering, say for instance, and you're really interested in doing some courses, some management courses, so are they allowing you to take some courses from the business school as well? And flexibility is one of the biggest reasons that students choose US as their higher education destination as opposed to other countries, because the US really offers very flexible programs, and it's definitely a good thing. Most times it is a good thing, and at a master's level, although you don't have too many options to choose from, you still have some electives, and you can really choose well to make your repertoire of courses look excellent and give you that kind of horizontal learning and the kind of exposure that you're looking for. However, at an undergrad level, flexibility sometimes, or the ability to choose courses and electives, may not be the best thing in the world. I just want to alert students at this point. You are paying per credit, and you're going to pay for every course that you take. So just because it's an easy course and it's something like basket weaving, and you know you're going to get an A in that course, don't just take courses that are not going to teach you anything only because you're able to get good grades in them, and you want to maintain good grades. It is very important to maintain good grades, but at the end of the day, remember, your sponsors are paying a lot of money for these courses that you're choosing. So it's very important that you take courses that are really contributing towards your major, your degree, or at least your passion and your area of interest, right? Don't use the flexibility card to your disadvantage and to the sponsor's disadvantage. Make sure you're making the most out of the option of a flexible education system, and you're able to get a very nice horizontal learning across departments. So the other thing you can also consider is how long the course is being offered. A lot of students, especially Indian students, like to finish fast because that way they're saving money, because the time that you save, you're able to save money in the process as well, which is definitely a good thing. And the moment you finish studying, you're able to go out and work and get your get your job and start earning. So that is also something that people really like, especially from this region, Hyderabad. They like to finish their courses quickly and be able to look for and be able to exercise their OPT period. Um, and then, of course, you're going to look at how long it does it take to graduate. Especially for PhD students, you don't want to be in a place that, that where the PhD students take really, really long to graduate. At the end of the day, you're looking to get a degree and as soon as possible, and to be able to cover your research work and to be able to do and achieve your research goals in a certain amount of time. It really is important that you are able to figure out how to complete your degree in the designated amount of time. Moving on, here are some more points to consider when you're choosing between schools. Of course, the reputation of faculty. It's very, very important to have a good rapport with your professors. They're very powerful people on US university campuses, because in case you're looking for assistantships or some kind of a work study opportunity, or even just to get a good letter of recommendation after you graduate for your while you're looking for jobs, your professors are the go-to people for you. In terms of assistantships, they have the entire responsibility of choosing their students or the people who are going to work for them. The responsibility completely lies with them. So if you develop a good rapport with your professor, once you go there in the first semester, you make a good impression on them, your academics are good, chances are that in your second semester, you will be able to get a graduate, a research, or a teaching assistantship from them. And it's possible even at an undergraduate level to be a work study for a US university professor. So they're very important people. If you see that this professor is giving out a lot of assistantships and he or she is doing excellent research work, and that's exactly what I'm interested in, these are some of the factors to actually check out, and the faculty profiles, where they graduated from, where they went to school, what kind of research they're doing, what kind of if they're business professors, then what kind of industry experience did they have? So these are the multiple factors that you're really going to consider. When Aparna introduced me, she spoke about me going to journalism school. So I just like to give you an example there. When I went to journalism school, some of my professors had won Pulitzer Prizes, which are definitely the highest award in journalism. And to be able to learn from faculty that are so prolific and that are actually industry experts in what they do, it's definitely an enriching experience. And you're going there to get that kind of exposure. So it's very, very important that you enjoy the experience and look up to the people that you learn from. So the reputation of the faculty is very important. How established is the department and the university itself? Is it very old? Has it been around for really long? If it has, then that's great, because they're definitely doing something right if they have been in the business of education for so long. And if they're very new, it's not necessary that they may not be good, but do remember to check for accreditation when you're looking for a newer school, because the old schools, it's usually if they're established state universities or even very established private universities that have been around for almost a century, and most of them have, it's very unlikely that they're not accredited, or students will fall into trouble. But when you're looking at a newer institute, please do check for accreditation. And I hope all of you know the website to check for accreditation. I'm just typing it in here as we speak. It's www.chia.org. And I'm just going to put that up. I highly recommend all of you go to this website and ensure that the university that you're going to and attending is an accredited university. CHIA is Council for Higher Education Accreditation. So please do take time to go and visit the website. And if you're looking for technical programs, engineering schools especially, do look for ABET accreditation, ABET. It's not a must that all schools have it. Some very reputed programs are not accredited by ABET as well, but it's a good idea to have them around. So the other thing you're also going to look at is teaching style. Is it research or job oriented? I don't know if at this point some of you have heard of what we call as co-op programs, where the university itself facilitates internships for the students. So as a part of the program, you're required to do an internship. And when you do this internship, you're going to get academic credit for it. So one semester, you're not doing classes, you're doing an internship, you're getting practical experience, but you're still going to get academic credit. It's almost like you did a class for it, and you're not going to waste time in the process. You're not doing it in the middle of semesters. You're actually doing it as one of your semesters. And a lot of these internships are paid, so you're able to make some money while you're studying at the same time. So it's a very good option. You're also able to get some work experience, which really reflects well on your resume. And a lot of students, especially very competitive and good ones, when they do get internships as a part of their CPT program, they're able to make wonderful contacts in the organizations that they intern at, and they do get placed in the same organization even after that. So definitely look at the teaching style. If you're interested in research, on the other hand, and not industry, if it's a large research university that's getting a lot of grant money in terms of research, it's definitely a good idea to match your personal goals with the institute's goals as well. Right? So you're also going to look at the average class size of each class. Again, you have these large public universities like, say, for instance, the University of California in Berkeley. In an undergraduate freshman class, they may have 250 students in every class, and you're going to sit in a large auditorium, and the professor is just going to teach you and talk, and he or she is not going to really know you by name. On the other hand, if you went to like maybe a smaller liberal arts school, like say for instance Harvey Mudd, where the class sizes are so small and you're just probably 12 students in every class, and you have a wonderful peer group, you're always doing these wonderful group discussions. Sometimes you may decide to have, your professor may decide to have a class in the library instead of your regular classroom, or even in the garden, because some of the teaching methods in the US are very innovative and very interesting, and they do experiment with a lot of these stuff. So it's up to you to decide which kind of an environment you do well in, and it's important that you know about these factors even before you go. It's not a good idea to reach there and be shocked that, oh my God, if there are 250 people in this class, how am I ever going to focus or concentrate, and I lose out my concentration because everyone else is just logged in on Facebook in class or something like that. So if you feel like you can't do well in such an environment, you should know about it before and make the decision before, as opposed to going there and then not liking it and trying to transfer. Transferring is allowed, but on the other hand, it's quite an administrative nightmare. So if you are able to make good decisions before you go to the US, it really solves the problem, and eases half your process. So moving on, then of course you're going to look at the specifics about the department or the college. We did speak about these things: research experience while studying. Again, if that's like a research-based degree that you're looking at, how many students are there in that department, how many students are there in that entire course. If you're looking like for very large established departments, or like smaller departments, what is the average GPA of graduating students? So are students doing well, the students that are graduating? Because at the end of the day, your academics also are going to be on your resume for the rest of your life. So you're really going to focus on how well you're able to do, and that's the idea at the end of the day, to be able to do to be able to do the best of your capacity in terms of academics. Here are some points to consider, of course. Cost. This is a very, very big factor, and most students make a lot of their decisions about the admits on cost. Do consider everything about the cost. Have a realistic idea of how much it's going to cost. Speak to your sponsors about it. Even after you get your admits, it's important that if you're not paying for your own education, it's important that you speak to the person who's making the payment for you before you take any kind of decision, to ensure that it's not even a burden on them, and to even just simply ensure that you're able to afford it in the first place. So figure out what the total annual cost is, and then how much financial aid you're able to get. So if you have like 5 admits, from 5 admits, if 3 of them are offering you financial aid, and 2 have said upfront that no, we're not giving you any kind of financial aid, and for you it's important because you know that you can't pay for the entire amount, then you're obviously going to consider the ones that are giving you financial aid, right? So, in fact, we had a very good student who got into a reputed school, the Carnegie Mellon University, not sure which program, the computer science program. And although he did get into the program, he came back to us and told us about how he exactly cannot afford the fee, because the fee tends to be pretty steep in these private universities. Eventually, because he hadn't thought about this, and he only thought about getting admitted into a reputed university, he couldn't make it to university, and he had to get a gap year and apply to other universities offering him more financial aid. So this is a decision that you need to think about before you decide to apply, and then review all the universities that are giving you financial aid. And then you're also going to think of opportunities for financial aid after the first semester or after the 1 year. Because if you're depending on this scholarship completely, and it is only for 1 year, so what are you going to do if your program lasts longer than 1 year, right? You have to have a plan. And then look at what kind of internship opportunities they have, or the co-op programs. That's cooperative is the full form for co-op programs. So here's a tip: keep researching scholarships, fellowships, and other opportunities for financial aid. Sometimes they're not restricted to students who are applying. You can also be an admitted student and still apply for a fellowship or a particular scholarship in that university. Sometimes they will not advertise scholarships, so do reach out to your graduate admissions officer or undergraduate admissions officer and ask them, do you have any specific scholarships, like a dean scholarship or a president scholarship? Even if it's not a large amount and you qualify for it, everything works. I mean, you don't have a tab on how many different sources can come together to help you cover for the cost. So if you're eligible for 5 different kinds of scholarships while you're still on campus, please go ahead and apply for all 5 of them. Don't think that you're not eligible because you already have one scholarship. And then look at the specifics of the university, of course. We've spoken about a lot of these things. Location, big city versus rural campus, of course. Again, that's a personal preferences, but big cities tend to have very good industry connect also. Rural campuses, if you're like interested in research and you like peace and quiet, then yes, some people do like rural campuses. Public versus private, because it usually might affect cost of attendance. A general trend is that public universities tend to be a little less expensive than private universities, but it's not always the case. There are exceptions, of course, like NYU or University of California in Berkeley or LA, for instance. They are public universities, but their fee is extremely steep as well, and almost as much as a private university is. So also think about the number of students on Indian campuses. It is a great support system, and it helps you not get homesick. And some US universities may have too many Indian students. So if that's something that you don't like, you're looking for some kind of diversity, then you may think about considering that as well. And I have a funny story for all of you here. I hear, this is from the students that I'm advising, I hear that in the University of Dallas, Dallas, they have boards saying silence please in Telugu, which shows how many students from Hyderabad they are actually on the University of Texas Dallas's campus. So if you don't want to be swarmed by Telugu students, I would not go to the University of Texas Dallas. But don't let that be your primary factor. This is just an all good humor. It's nothing against one particular sect of people, but if you're looking for the comfort of home, then definitely look at the Indian student population on campus. And if you're looking for a lot of diversity on campus, then think about universities that do not have too many Indian students. Of course, look for on-campus job opportunities, whether it's in the terms of in the form of assistantships or just on-campus regular jobs. Again, it's very important for all of you to know that as a student with an F1 visa, you are permitted only to work on campus, and it has to be part-time. So if you're going on an F1 visa, you can work for 20 hours a week, and it has to be on campus or facilitated by your campus. A simple way to know is you will get a W-2 form when you get paid, which is the tax form. So your employer on that form should be the University of Missouri, if that's your employer, whichever university you're attending, right? It's a simple way. And then look at the alumni network, of course. US universities are the alumni networks are very strong. They're very loyal to their alma maters. Again, because I went to a school in the US, I can give you my example. All the alumni of the university, from the journalism school in the University of Missouri in Columbia, they call themselves the Mizzou Mafia, because they're placed in very established media houses all over the world. So the moment they see that someone's from the University of Missouri in Columbia, they kind of know what kind of training they went through and how rigorous the program is. So they figure out that the students who graduated from this university are definitely capable of taking up responsibilities that we can give them, and they have that rapport. So alumni networks are very powerful. Do look at where some of the alumni of your schools are placed in different countries or even in the US itself. Look at the career services center at the university. What kind of career fairs and other kind of support, like are they helping you build a nice resume? Are they informing you and sending you constant emails about internships and jobs? So all universities usually have a career services office. Do look at, and they have a web page dedicated for that, so you can go and look at the website. Look at the kind of support offered to students on campus. So do they have a health center? Do they have a 24-hour library services, or do they have good safety policies on campus? Like how is the campus police? How are the career services? Do they have a religious center on campus if that's important to you? Do they have a rec center, which is like a gym that we call in India? And if you're a fitness freak or something and you like that and you need that, a lot of US university campuses provide good sports facilities. And if you're looking to pursue a sport that you're very good at, then ensure that you're checking for those things also. Moving on, other important points to consider: the length of the program, of course, 1 year or 2 years, or is it longer? Do you need 2 semesters before you can do a summer internship? So before you can convert your CPT status, do you need to have finished 2 semesters? What happens to international students after they graduate? Are they getting placed? Are they going back to their home country? You can talk to the International Student Office, which every university campus on the US, usually they have a dedicated international student office. Talk to them. They're very friendly people and they usually respond in case you have any kind of questions related to international students. Look at the websites of the universities. These are your insight into that university before you go there. So dig deep into that website and peruse it as much as you can. The deeper you go, the more information that you get, and that's really good for you at the end of the day. Support for students. Do they have a department advisor, like a faculty advisor? Do they have an office for international students? Do they have a big Indian student association, because the student associations and international offices help you find housing on campus, which is great support for you and really eases out the process and helps you transition seamlessly, because for most of you it may be the first time that you're going to the US. You may be going to places that you do not have relatives in. So do ensure that your campus has the services that you're looking for and all these facilities. Personally, contact Indian students at universities, like I told you earlier. Use technology, use all these wonderful social media outlets that we have, use the multiple forums that we have. Of course, don't believe everything that everyone says. There may be one disgruntled student who did bad themselves and would say a whole lot of things about the university. Do your research well, be an informed decision maker. Don't just go with hearsay. Take consensus always, like it should be a majority and not just one person that you speak to. Get feedback about local conditions, especially safety in terms of can you go out late on streets, is the downtown of that city safe? And in terms of safety, I would just recommend to all students, just follow the same rules that you do in India. Don't go out very late alone. Venture out at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. If you do decide to go for a party, at least go in a group. Don't, and if there are fights at dark alleys in the middle of the road, I mean, some dingy corner of the road, it's not a good idea to go and, use that road, even if it's a shortcut, if it's not well lit. So if you are within your limits and you are following every rule that you would hear, I don't think it's too much of a problem in terms of safety in the US. But you do have wonderful support in terms of police departments on campus. They have dedicated campus police, and they're very friendly, and they're looking to, you can call them for any kind of help that you need. Look for local conditions, also weather, like I mentioned, for accommodation, of course, because cost of living is very, very highly dependent on accommodation. Your house rent will probably be a major chunk of what you will be paying in terms of cost of living. Look at transportation facilities. Again, the US, only major cities in the US are well connected in terms of public transport. In the Midwest and the South, you tend to need an own vehicle if you really want to move around quite a bit. Public transport's not great. So look at the bus services on campus itself and figure out these things before you decide to go. Indian student associations are pretty active. They're a large population on campus. Sign up for their listservs to get regular emails, and of course they have Facebook forums that you can really follow and keep in touch with them even before you decide to go to the US or that particular campus. Archive your own documents. This is very, very important. I mean, some of us, things happen and we tend to lose our stuff, or incidents happen all the time. So scan all your important key documents, save it to a DVD or a USB, and keep a backup even in your email all the time, because email is easily accessible from all over the world. Keep your passport, your mark sheets, your offer letter from that university, your certificates, your degrees, a copy of your I-20. These are all very, very important documents that you need every time. So ensure that you have all these documents safe and you have a backup of all of them in your email at any given point. Moving on, that brings us kind of to the end of our presentation, and at this point I'd just like to tell you about Education USA services, and here's where all of you will type in your questions in case you had any during my presentation. Now is the time to type them in, and I will slowly take them. And meanwhile, while you're thinking of all your questions, I'm going to tell you about what services Education USA offers to students. We have, of course, a membership to library and resources in Hyderabad. At this point it's free, but other centers, they charge a very nominal fee, and this is because they will guide you through the entire application process. You have access to standardized test preparation material, you have one-on-one advising sessions, you can attend multiple sessions, special information sessions that they conduct at USEF centers around the country. You also have an online resource kit that you will be provided with for test preparation. They do USEF centers all over the country. Education USA conducts specialized information sessions on US higher education. So you can attend them. All these sessions are free. So there is a calendar on the on our USIEF website, which is www.usief.org.in. We do a lot of presentations by US university representatives, alumni. So do attend all these sessions and make the most of them. Again, we have all these free Friday webinars and sessions where we have a host of information like you have seen, and you can access all this information just by the click of a button, and it's absolutely free for you. So I am going to take some questions right now. Okay, so we have a question on, for a doctoral program, does the reputation of the guide matters? Which can be better, an assistant professor versus a professor? So I'm assuming you're asking for the reputation of a guide in the US. Usually, for professors to be able to get tenure in the US in a particular campus, it's quite challenging. They have a lot of tough parameters. So even if they're called the assistant professor, they may still have a wonderful resume and a really good profile. So look at their CV and their biodata as opposed to their title, whether it's an assistant professor versus a professor. Of course, if a professor has tenure, it means that they have been at a particular university or they really have that experience. It is going to add value, but also individually look at that your guides or your mentors or your thesis mentors profile in terms of their particular research that they have done. If you feel like it's a better match in terms of an assistant professor, that's absolutely fine. It doesn't matter too much. Next question, please. What are cooperative programs? Great question. So when I mentioned co-op programs and I said that the university facilitates internships for you. So this university will already have tie-ups with industry in that area, and they will facilitate the internship for you and match you according to what you are interested in. And when you do that internship, you're going to get academic credit for it. It means it's going to count as one of your courses, as opposed to you doing it independently in the summer semester or taking a semester off to do it. You're going to still be enrolled in your program and you're going to get academic credit for doing this co-op program. And a lot of time these co-op program internships are also paid, right? So it's pretty much a win-win situation. You're able to get practical exposure, you're able to get academic credit, and you're also able to get paid for it. How is Ohio as a state for mechanical engineering jobs, especially specifically automotive? Okay, so Ohio is in the Midwest, and it is in the manufacturing belt, I would say. So Ohio has a lot of US university campuses. It has very established, very good, very reputed school itself. For mechanical engineering and specifically automotive engineering jobs, like I mentioned, Michigan would still be a great state, but Ohio is not very far from Michigan. They are neighboring, in fact. So you can definitely consider it because in terms of proximity to that area, it would be a decent option as opposed to any other state that is not even in the vicinity. How to prepare for visa process? Great question. At Education USA, we have broken down the entire application process into 5 steps. The first step is research your options. The second step is finance your education. The third step is complete your application. The fourth step is preparing for visa. So we are at step number 3 today, and we're talking about after completion of your application and getting your admits, and you're not very far away from preparing from your visa process. I can assure you we're going to be doing a lot of semester webinars in the future about how to prepare for your visa. But at this point, what I can definitely tell you is, if you've done the research yourself, if you've thought about why this university is the best fit for you, if you have thought about how to finance your education and you can prove that you have the finances to pay for that amount on your I-20, the amount that reflects on your I-20 document, and you have a postgraduate plan. So after you finish your course, what you're going to plan to do, if you have these 3 criteria, you should be fine. So don't worry too much. If you've done all the other steps effectively, your visa process is not going to be too much of a problem. And we do have webinars in the future that we're going to do about visa. So please do definitely definitely follow our calendar or Facebook page or wherever you got this information from. Keep following it and attend the webinars on visa.
You can just,
the
students can also look up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just a query just for that student. You can also look up this website, ustraveldocs.com. Not only is this website where you log in and apply for your visa and fill out the application, but there is additional information available for you in terms of what to take with you when you go for a visa interview, etc. So do look up that website. It would be most useful.
So Karan asked a follow-up question about, can I apply for jobs in Michigan from Ohio or any other state? Absolutely. You can apply for a job anywhere. You are free to work in any state in the United States as long as you're maintaining legal status there. So if after you've graduated, you have successfully, your university has helped you convert into the OPT status and you're looking for a job, actually you don't need to wait until you graduate to look for a job. You can start in advance. You can start in your second semester itself. You can basically apply for a job from any state to any state. So don't let that hold you back. And with a US university degree, you can even apply for a job anywhere else in the world.
This is again another question from Karan itself.
Right. So I have an admit from a US university. What is the last date? Usually the last date is 1st May for a lot of undergraduate programs. For graduate programs and particular universities, when they tell you about it, they will usually indicate a last date. If they haven't indicated a last date, for your personal reference, I would say 1st May is a good date to go with. Okay,
this is a really big question from.
I'm an undergraduate applicant and waiting to hear from colleges next month.
Okay, I think you'll have to read it out from here. It's just so big.
Right.
Not popping up. I think you'll have to read out Nilanjan's question from the right, Shravani.
Yes, I'm able to see it. It's popped up.
No, this is the one from Nilanjan. Yeah.
Yes.
Are you able to see it?
Yes.
I'm undergraduate applicant and waiting to hear. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Assuming I get 2 to 3 admits, including my dream college, which should I choose my dream college, which is more competitive than the other colleges I get admits from, where I might have to work harder, or the other colleges not my dream, but it's a safe choice, which is less competitive. If I choose a competitive college, I would have to work harder than before to score well. But okay, if I choose a college with less, I'm going to be able to score. The common need-based financing. Okay. So, okay, this is a multiple-fold question, but first of all, I feel your major dilemma is, do you want to be a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond? So that's absolutely up to you for you to decide, Nilanjan. If you feel you're up for the challenge and the rank matters to you, and they are offering, consider the other factors also. If they are offering you some kind of financial aid also, if that's a priority to you, and the industry connect is beautiful in that place and the alumni are in wonderful places, I would definitely consider all factors and not just the ranking or the competitiveness of a school. And if you feel that you can't cope up with pressure and the challenge once you go there, and you just want to settle down for a little bit of a safer option, and they're also offering you a wonderful financial aid package, then it's definitely a good idea to even consider the a little safer option. But I wouldn't really it's a decision that you really have to consider yourself and sit down with your parents and make that decision. I'm just waiting for the announcement to get done. I'm sorry. Right. So, please sit down with your parents and talk about your, once you get your admits, and you can also visit an Education USA center and sit down with an advisor who can really help you weigh your options and finally arrive at the decision. They won't make the decision for you, but they will definitely help you arrive at the decision and make the right choice. On the other hand, when colleges say that they meet 100% demonstrated need. I don't know when you applied if you remembered the formula for demonstrated need, which is how much your family can afford versus how much it costs. The difference between that amount is the demonstrated need. And if a school is saying that, say for instance, it costs about $60,000 a year in that school, and your family is able to pay $40,000, your demonstrated need would be $20,000, the balance. So the school, if it says it's meeting the 100% demonstrated need, it means that your particular demonstrated need may be $20,000. So it's able to meet that for you. If there are other students which have larger number of demonstrated requirements, they're still able to meet those needs. So irrespective of the amount, that amount which you are requiring from them, which your family is not able to pay, or which you don't have other like resources from your side for, that is what is demonstrated need. So moving on, we'll probably take the last question before we wrap up for today. Once you accept and you give them a commitment that yes,